There are moments in life when everything changes. Sometimes these moments come unexpectedly. A meeting, a conversation, a thought, an event, something that catches you by surprise. And in that moment, everything is different. The day your life changes is not always something you can predict, but you can prepare for it. Let me say that again. You can prepare for the day when everything will be different. I want you to think about something. Have you ever had a moment where you realized, I'm never going back. I'm never going to live life the same way again? That's what we're talking about today. It's about that pivot point in your life. Maybe you've already had one or two of these. Or maybe it's just around the corner. Either way, the beauty of it is this. Once your life changes, once you make a real, lasting change, it's like setting off on a new path, a better path with new possibilities. I think back to one of those moments in my own life. I was 25 years old, working on a farm, broke, with pennies in my pocket and nothing to show for my efforts. I was at that point where you start wondering, is this it? Is this what life is all about? But then something happened. I had a conversation with a man named Mr. Schoaf, and that conversation changed everything. Sometimes the day your life changes starts with a mentor, someone who has what you want, someone who's been down the road you're about to travel. And Mr. Schoaf said to me, Jim, if you want things to change, you have to change. If you want your life to be different, you have to do things differently. That might sound simple, but I'm telling you, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was blaming everything outside of me for why I wasn't successful. I was blaming the economy, the government, my circumstances. But Mr. Schoaf made it clear. My life wasn't going to change until I took responsibility for it. And that's where I want to start today. The day your life changes is the day you take responsibility for where you are and where you're going. Now, some people don't like to hear that. We all like to think that our circumstances are somebody else's fault. It's easier that way, right? It's not my fault. It's the economy. It's not my fault. It's my upbringing. It's not my fault. I didn't get the right opportunities. And I understand that. I've been there. But I'm telling you, as long as you hold on to those excuses, nothing is going to change. See, here's the thing. We all start at different places. Some people start life with more advantages than others, and that's the reality of it. But what matters more than where you start is what you do with where you are. There's a great quote that says, it's not what happens to you that determines your future. It's what you do about what happens. And that's the truth. The day your life changes is the day you decide to be the driver, not the passenger. You've got to take the wheel, take control, and decide that you are going to steer your life in a new direction. The day you stop waiting for things to happen and you start making things happen, that's the day everything changes. Ask yourself, are you waiting? Are you waiting for someone to come along and change your life for you? Are you waiting for the perfect opportunity, the perfect time, the perfect conditions? Because I've got news for you. That perfect time is never going to come. If you're waiting for everything to line up before you take action, you'll be waiting forever. You've got to decide that today is the day, and you've got to work with what you have. There's another important idea here. The day your life changes is the day you start working on yourself more than you work on anything else. You see, I had this idea when I was younger that success was something you pursued. You had to go out and chase it, run it down, grab it before someone else did. But that's not how it works. Success isn't something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. I'll say it again. Success is something you attract by the person you become. So, if you want your life to change, you've got to change. You've got to start developing yourself, building your skills, expanding your mindset. It's not about waiting for the world to change so you can get ahead. It's about making yourself better so that you're ready when opportunity comes. Because it will come. The question is, will you be ready for it when it does? Now that brings me to something else. The day your life changes is also the day you decide to set real, meaningful goals. Now, I don't mean vague wishes or daydreams. I'm talking about specific, concrete goals that you write down, plan for, and work toward every day. You see, without goals, life can just drift by. You get up, go to work, come home, and repeat. But there's no direction, no purpose. In my early days, I met a man who was incredibly successful, financially, in his health, in his relationships, in every area of life. And I asked him, how did you do it? How did you create this amazing life? And he said something I'll never forget. He said, Jim, I learned a long time ago that if I didn't design my own life, someone else would design it for me. And I'm telling you, they don't have much planned for you. That was powerful for me. He was right. If you don't set your own goals, your own course, you'll end up living someone else's plan. And that's no way to live. The day your life changes is the day you take control of your own future. You decide what you want, you set a plan, and you go after it with everything you've got. Now you might be thinking, but Jim, I've tried setting goals before and it didn't work. I didn't stick with it. And I understand that. Most people don't stick with their goals. You know why? It's because they don't have a big enough reason why. See, if your goals are just about what you want, that's not going to be enough. Your goals have to be connected to a deeper purpose. Something that moves you, something that gets you up in the morning with energy and enthusiasm. The day your life changes is the day you find your reason why. It's the day you stop being motivated by what you think you should do, and you start being driven by what you must do. A young man once came to me and said, Jim, I want to make $1 million. I asked him, why? And he said, well, because I think it would be nice to have that kind of money. Now I told him, that's not a strong enough reason. You've got to have something more. What will the money do for you? Who will you help? What kind of life will you create? Why is it a must, not just a wish? And that's the key. You've got to have a big enough reason why. Otherwise, when the challenges come, and they will come, you'll quit. The day your life changes is the day you find that deep, driving reason that keeps you going, no matter what. Here's another thing that happens on the day your life changes. It's the day you stop letting fear hold you back. Fear is one of the biggest things that keeps people from changing their lives. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. But here's what I've learned. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. Everything. There's a story about a man who lived his whole life afraid to step outside his comfort zone. He stayed in the same town, worked the same job, had the same friends. And one day, he realized that he'd spent his entire life playing it safe, never taking any risks. He looked back and saw all the things he could have done, but he didn't because he was too afraid. And he said, I wish I'd had the courage to live a bigger life. So, are you living a big life? Or are you playing it safe? The day your life changes is the day you decide to stop letting fear run your life. You decide that yes, you might fail. Yes, things might not work out the way you planned. But you're going to try anyway. Because the worst thing is not failing. The worst thing is never trying. The day your life changes is the day you embrace failure as part of the process. You see, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a part of success. Every successful person I've ever met has failed. In fact, they've probably failed more times than they've succeeded. But they didn't let failure stop them. They used it as a stepping stone, a learning experience. So, when you fail, and you will, don't see it as the end. See it as a lesson. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to get better? Have you ever met someone who's always waiting for the perfect time to take action? They say, I'll start my business when the economy is better. Or, I'll work on my health when things slow down at work. Or, I'll focus on my goals when everything in my life is just right. You know the type. Always waiting for the stars to align. But here's what I've learned. The perfect time never comes. If you wait for everything to be perfect, you'll be waiting forever. The day your life changes is the day you stop waiting and start acting. Now, why is that important? Because life doesn't wait for you to get ready. Life keeps moving. The opportunities are there, but they won't sit around waiting for you to feel prepared, to feel brave, or to feel like you've got everything figured out. Here's something that I've come to understand. Life rewards action. Not intention, not ideas, not good thoughts, but action. The day your life changes is the day you take a step forward, even if it's a small one, even if you're not entirely sure what the next 100 steps will look like. That's okay. You don't need to see the whole path to start walking. Most people are paralyzed by the need for certainty. They think, I'll start when I know how it's all going to work out. But the truth is, you'll never know exactly how it's going to work out. You have to move in faith, trusting that as you go, as you act, the path will unfold. When I first met Mr. Schoaf, I didn't know where it would lead. I had no idea that one conversation with him would change my entire future. But it did because I took the first step. I listened. I applied what I learned. So, if you've been sitting on an idea, a goal, a dream, waiting for the stars to align, this is your reminder that the stars don't need to align. What you need to do is make a decision. That's the day your life changes, when you decide to act in spite of uncertainty. You got to ask yourself, what's one thing in your life that you know you should be doing, but you've been putting off? Maybe it's a project you've been thinking about starting. Maybe it's a relationship you know you need to work on. Maybe it's your health. Whatever it is, I want you to think about what's holding you back. Is it fear? Is it a lack of clarity? Or is it that you're waiting for the perfect time? The perfect time is now. The day your life changes is the day you realize that the only time you truly have is right now. And if you waste today waiting for tomorrow, you're giving up your most valuable resource, time. Time waits for no one. So stop wasting it waiting for the perfect conditions. Get moving with what you have, and along the way, you'll figure out the rest. Here's one of the most important things about the day your life changes. It's the day you stop making excuses. I mentioned earlier that for years, I blamed everything outside of myself for why I wasn't where I wanted to be. The economy, my upbringing, my lack of connections, you name it, I blamed it. But then I had a revelation. As long as I kept blaming everything outside of me, nothing inside of me was going to change. The day your life changes is the day you stop making excuses and start taking full responsibility for your life. Now, this isn't about beating yourself up or feeling guilty. It's about empowerment. Because the moment you take responsibility for your life is the moment you realize that you have the power to change it. As long as you're blaming other people or circumstances or bad luck, you're giving away your power. You're saying, I can't change because it's out of my control. But the truth is, while you can always control what happens to you, you can always control how you respond. What's an excuse you've been holding on to? What's a story you've been telling yourself about why you can't succeed? Why you can't move forward, why your life isn't where you want it to be. I want you to think about that for a moment. And then I want you to ask yourself, what if I took full responsibility for this? What if, instead of blaming outside factors, you asked yourself, what can I do to change this? What steps can I take right now? That's the shift that changes everything. When you stop looking outside of yourself and start looking inside, the day your life changes is the day you realize that no one is coming to save you. You have to save yourself. Now, that might sound harsh to some of you, but I'm here to tell you, it's the most freeing realization you can have. Because when you understand that you're responsible for your own life, it means you have the power to change it. You're not at the mercy of circumstances. You're not a victim of your environment. You are the captain of your ship. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Change is hard. Growth is hard. But I'll tell you what's harder: staying stuck. Waking up every day, knowing that you're not living up to your potential. That's hard. And the pain of regret is far greater than the pain of discipline. So if you're going to experience pain, and let's be honest, we all will at some point, choose the pain that leads to growth. Choose the pain of taking responsibility. Choose the pain of stepping outside of your comfort zone. Because that pain is temporary, but the rewards are lasting. The day your life changes, it's the day you stop comparing yourself to others. Now, this one is big. Too many people get caught up in what everyone else is doing. They look at someone else's success, someone else's journey, and they start feeling inadequate. They start feeling like they're behind. But I'm telling you, you are on your own path. Your journey is your journey, and it's not supposed to look like anyone else's. The day your life changes is the day you stop measuring your progress against other people's lives and start focusing on your own growth. I'm telling you why this is important. When you compare yourself to others, you're always going to feel like you're lacking in some way. You'll always find someone who's doing better than you in some area of life. But what you don't see is their struggle. What you don't see is the hard work, the failures, the setbacks that they've had to overcome to get where they are. And even if they are ahead in some ways, so what? That has nothing to do with you. Here's a truth I've come to learn. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is the person you were yesterday. The day your life changes is the day you decide that your competition is not the person next to you. It's the person you see in the mirror. If you can focus on being better today than you were yesterday, and better tomorrow than you are today, you're winning. Where have you been comparing yourself to others? And how has that been holding you back? What would happen if you focused all that energy on your own progress instead? You see, comparison is the thief of joy. It robs you of the satisfaction of your own journey. But when you focus on your own growth, when you measure your progress against yourself, that's when real fulfillment happens. Stop chasing success and start focusing on contribution. Now, I know this might sound counterintuitive, especially in a world that's always telling us to go after success, to chase our dreams. But here's the thing. Success, real success, isn't something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become and by the value you provide to others. The day your life changes is the day you realize that it's not just about you. It's about what you can give. It's about how you can serve. Because here's the truth. The more value you bring to the marketplace, the more successful you'll become. The more you contribute to the lives of others, the more your own life will improve. I'm telling you, some of the most successful people I know are the ones who have shifted their focus from how can I get more to how can I give more. They understand that their success is a byproduct of their contribution. And the day your life changes is the day you start thinking the same way. When you stop asking, what's in it for me? And start asking, how can I make a difference? That's when real success, real fulfillment starts to flow into your life. Years ago, I met a man who built a successful business. He started out focused on making money, and while he did okay, he wasn't truly thriving. Then one day, he had a shift in his thinking. He realized that if he wanted to grow his business, he needed to focus on providing more value to his customers. He stopped worrying so much about his bottom line and started asking himself, how can I serve my customers better? How can I help them solve their problems? The result? His business exploded. Why? Because when you provide value, people respond. When you focus on serving, success follows. So, where in your life can you contribute more? Where can you bring more value to others? Maybe it's in your business, maybe it's in your relationships, maybe it's in your community. Whatever it is, the day your life changes is the day you shift your focus from getting to giving. And here's something else that happens on that day. The day your life changes is the day you start focusing on what you can control and you stop worrying about what you can't. So many people spend their energy stressing over things they have no control over. The weather, the economy, other people's opinions. None of that is within your control. You got to build a strong foundation for success. You know, success isn't something that just shows up one day and knocks on your door. It's not a visitor, and it's certainly not an accident. Success is built brick by brick, day by day. And just like a building needs a solid foundation, so does your life, your career, your relationships, your health. Without a solid foundation, no matter how tall you build, it's all going to come crashing down when life throws the first storm your way. So, let's go over 3 key strategies to build that foundation strong enough to withstand any challenge and sustain your success for the long haul. First, let me say this. Everything begins with personal responsibility. That's strategy number 1. If you're going to build something that lasts, it has to start with you. The foundation for success is you. Not the economy, not the government, not your boss, not your spouse. Just you. Mr. Shove told me early on that taking responsibility means giving up all the excuses, giving up blaming others for your situation. Sure, things happen to us all. The weather isn't always fair, the cards aren't always in our favor, but success doesn't ask about your excuses. It just asks one question: what are you going to do about it? That's the beginning of personal responsibility. It means acknowledging, if it's going to be, it's up to me. Now, think about how powerful that idea is. Because the moment you take full responsibility for your life, you unlock something extraordinary. Control. You control how much effort you put in. You control how you respond to setbacks. You control whether or not you get back up when life knocks you down. This is the key. You don't control everything that happens, but you do control how you respond to everything. And those responses, those are the building blocks of success. Here's the problem. Most people want success without responsibility. They want the rewards without paying the price. But life doesn't work that way. You've got to be willing to take ownership of the failures along with the victories. I'm telling you, the people who succeed in life are not those who never make mistakes. They're the ones who learn from them. Think of it this way. Every mistake, every failure is like a stone. Some people carry them around like a burden, but the smart ones, they use those stones to build their foundation. Every lesson learned, every wrong decision corrected, becomes part of the structure holding you up. So when you take responsibility, you're not just saying, I messed up. You're saying, I learned something valuable and I'm going to use it. Once you've accepted responsibility, this is where the second strategy comes into play: discipline. If personal responsibility lays the first stone, discipline is what keeps the mortar strong. It holds everything together. I often say discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Everybody has dreams. Everybody sets goals, especially at the beginning of the year when the calendar turns over. But dreams without discipline are just fantasies. They don't mean anything. Discipline is what turns a good intention into a result. Discipline means doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. Because I'm telling you, success doesn't care about your feelings. Some days you'll wake up motivated, ready to tackle the world. Other days you won't feel like getting out of bed. But here's the trick. You do it anyway. That's discipline. You do the right thing because it's the right thing, not because it's easy or convenient. I used to tell people, if you want to get in shape, don't join the gym because you're motivated. Join because you've committed. Motivation comes and goes. Commitment backed by discipline, that's what sticks. It's showing up to work when you're tired. It's sticking to your budget when temptation whispers in your ear. It's saying no to what's easy so you can say yes to what's necessary. You've got to develop the habit of discipline, and make no mistake, it is a habit. Just like brushing your teeth or locking the front door before before bed. It starts small. Maybe you discipline yourself to read 10 pages of a good book every day. Or you set the alarm and refuse to hit the snooze button. It's not about grand gestures, it's about consistency. And here's the best part. Discipline compounds. Small actions done consistently over time produce massive results. I've seen it again and again. Whether you're trying to build a business, improve your health, or grow as a person, discipline will carry you through when motivation fades. Next, here's the third strategy for success. Consistency. Understood. If personal responsibility lays the foundation and discipline holds it together, consistency is what allows it to grow. Think of success like planting a garden. You don't plant seeds one day, water them the next, and expect to have a full harvest by the end of the week. Success takes time, just like a garden takes time to grow. And that's where consistency comes in. The problem is most people give up too soon. They start with a lot of enthusiasm, but the moment they don't see immediate results, they get discouraged. You know what I used to tell people? Be patient in the short term and impatient in the long term. That means don't expect overnight results, but don't let yourself get stuck in the same place year after year either. You've got to strike a balance. Be patient with the process, but relentless in your pursuit. And remember, consistency beats intensity every time. I've seen people try to make huge changes all at once, trying to change every bad habit overnight. But what happens? They burn out. It's not the intensity that matters. It's the consistency. I'd rather see someone walk 1 mile every day than run 10 miles once a month. Consistent effort creates momentum, and momentum is what moves you forward day after day, week after week. Consistency also builds trust. Trust in yourself, trust from others, and trust in the process. When you consistently show up, when you consistently do the right thing, people notice. Your reputation starts to grow. And most importantly, you start to believe in yourself. That's how confidence is built, through consistent action. Confidence isn't something you wake up with one morning. It's the result of proving to yourself over and over again that you can rely on your own efforts. But here's the catch. Consistency isn't just about doing the right things. It's also about avoiding the wrong things. You can't build a strong foundation for success if you keep chipping away at it with bad habits. It's like trying to fill a bucket with water while poking holes in the bottom. Every time you skip a workout, overspend your budget, or procrastinate on an important task, you're poking a hole in that foundation. So, consistency requires vigilance. You've got to guard your habits like a hawk. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Jim, that all sounds good, but what if I mess up? What if I fall off track? Well, here's some good news. Success doesn't demand perfection. It demands persistence. You will mess up. You will fall off track. The question isn't whether you'll stumble. The question is whether you'll get back up. And when you do, get back to those same principles. Responsibility, discipline, and consistency. That's how you build a foundation strong enough to withstand life's storms. Let me leave you with this thought. Building a strong foundation for success isn't glamorous. It's not about big moments or sudden breakthroughs. It's about the small things, the daily habits, the little decisions, the quiet moments when you choose to keep going even though no one's watching. But those small things add up. Brick by brick, they create something extraordinary. So I challenge you, start today. Take responsibility for where you are, even if it's not where you want to be. Practice discipline in the small things, because how you do anything is how you do everything. And above all, be consistent. Show up every day, even when it's hard, even when no one's applauding. Because if you do, I promise you, success won't be a matter of if. It'll just be a matter of when.